New year, new me, baby. May not have changed much, but then again, I am reviewing an Apocalyptica album. Whew, the roast is coming in before we've even done the title card. Hey guys, my name is Xander, and today we are taking a look at the new Apocalyptica album, Cell-0. Cell-0. You know, if we're ever going to get rid of the stereotype that symphonic metal fans are all just weird dads, we might want to start by getting rid of the pun titles. Hailing from the utter hotbed for symphonic metal that is Finland, Apocalyptica have quickly become one of the most prolific and famous symphonic metal bands. Becoming famous and slightly infamous for their cello-centric symphonic metal sound, they're extremely prolific with a bunch of albums, and they even collabed with Sabaton recently. Now, if you know anything about this band, you probably know them for their excellent blending of classical and metal sounds, and not just in the way that most symphonic bands do, where it's metal but strings are there. It actually feels like a blending of the true genres, with a more classical formula of no lyrics and songs that go up to 9 minutes long, as well as the guitars taking a backseat to the cellos. And that is exactly what we got here. They didn't really feel the need to rock the boat much. There are a couple tracks with unique instrumentation on them, one in particular sounding like it had a shakuhachi on it, which got me excited until a YouTube commenter told me that I was wrong. But yeah, I'd be completely lying if I told you they were exactly innovating their sound there. They're following their normal formula, which doesn't have to be a bad thing. They got famous for a reason, and across all of their many albums, they've kind of kept the same theme anyway, experimenting with the lowest and highest ends of the instrument for both ambience and melody. And speaking of the melodies, they're on point as always. There's some really sad and soulful tunes on this one. It's kind of like Shostakovich in that way, but I'm guessing most of you don't know who that is, so I'll move on. I'd say the overall value in these songs is just their epicness. And believe me, I've tried to think of a pretentious, wordy way of saying that, but epic's the only word I could really think of. But epic's the only word that sold it. The combination of the film score style of the strings and the loud guitars work great together, and over the long track lengths really create an atmosphere. And while we're still on the positives, I want to touch on the percussion. Similar to classical percussion that plays more of an auxiliary role than a just blast beat role, a lot of the percussion sounds on this album are quite strange and really add to it. Now, of course, there are traditional metal drums on this album, but even those are a lot more creative and slower, really creating a mood, other than the double-kick, cymbal spam nonsense that the metal scene's been giving us for a while. But the positives kind of have to end here. When I said near the beginning that they were sticking to their very long-held formula, I meant it, and by now it's starting to become a detriment to their sound. Now, I'm not one of these critics that thinks that innovation alone is enough to carry an album, and I think the pointing to that and nothing else is kind of a lazy critique. This point in their careers, a lack of anything new is really starting to bore me. It's the same old long, epic tracks that never really go anywhere. Yes, the instrumentation and chord sequences are telling me that the emotions are high, but I don't really know what emotions those are. When I compared it to a film soundtrack, I meant it. There are some soundtracks that are great in their own right and I could listen to all day, but for most film soundtracks or game soundtracks or anything for that matter, you kind of need the medium that they're attached to really get the most out of it. They're a supporting act, and the philosophy of soundtracks for a music-only album isn't really what's gonna work best. For fear of sounding like that guy, I would like to say at this point that I love instrumental music as much as anyone else. Classically, the Yms have dealt without them and they produce some amazing music. But for this specific band, okay, I'm going to give you a comparison. My album of the year for last year, spoilers by the way, was Bad Omen's last album, Finding God Before God Finds Me. For a comparison, it sounded a lot like Sempiternal for those who didn't give it a listen. It too had the loud thrashing guitars and did away with the brass for the loud string sound commonly used in films. But what sets it apart was its amazing lyrics that drove the songs forwards, gave them a sense of pace, and really let you know what you were feeling. So yeah, this album could do with some lyrics, but this is kind of ignoring the fact that you can make compelling music without them anyway. I wouldn't normally use lack of an instrument as a critique, so that should tell you that there are some real underlying issues with the music here. So to delve a bit deeper, I think that one of the bigger issues is that the songs don't have good pacing. It's not like we start in one place and go on a journey to another like something like Swans, that does technically have lyrics, but they're not exactly the point. Using this technique, you take the listener on a journey throughout the album instead of just having a place, and then sounds, and then another place. But they don't bother doing that here, it's just soundscapes. And again, the soundscapes are epic and fine enough, but they're never really going anywhere. And that is my main problem with the album. So compile that issue on top of the lack of innovation and 9-minute long songs, as well as instrumental deviations like Fire and Ice feeling more gimmicky than anything. And I'm really just not vibing with this album at the end. Every individual part is great. The melodies and the playing and the atmosphere are great. It could sound great in a film, but it's not in a film. It's its own piece of art, and they didn't bother putting in the work to make it a complete piece. I'm going to end us off with a comparison here. This album is like highly produced, royalty-free action music. Yes, you can listen to it and go, oh, this is cool, but without anything to attach itself to, it's not doing anything. Collaboratively, I think this band could go plenty of places, but with what they're doing at the moment, they're simply not innovating or creating the interest curve that they need to be successful. They're simply not pacing enough to give the album its own cohesive vision, and for that I have to deduct points. When I started this album, like all of their material, I wanted to love it. It really got me in the mood and was epic, but it just didn't deliver in the end. And despite the objective quality of the composition, this isn't a fact I can ignore. So in the end, I'm going to give this album a 5 out of 10. You can go much worse, but you can also go much better. And yeah, I think that is all I have to say about this album. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you left a like on it and subscribe. Helps with the algorithm and stuff. I'm small, I want to grow. Before I leave off, I just want to tell you guys about one thing. I'm starting a podcast soon. You'll hear much more about that in the future. I was going to make an update video where I explained things, but I didn't want to make one of those and then not upload again. I just want to get back to making content. And speaking of, I'm going to be doing a lot more of that this year. The other two things I wanted to mention are my Discord server, which you can join. We have tons of mute discussions. It's a good time. We have a lot of fun on there as too, and you might see some surprises if you go follow it. Let's just say I have some stuff planned. Like I said, if you could leave a like and subscribe and tell me what you think of this band, that would be great. And I will see you guys in the next one.